The next workflow step is wait step. Wait condition waits until a specific condition is met, not applicable for real-time workflows. So wait step is something we are going to use in an example like I mentioned that if department equal to HR, then send an email, else we will say wait till department value equal to account, then send another email. So this way we can use wait condition over here. Next is parallel wait. Parallel wait branch specifies an alternative wait condition with a set of additional steps that can be performed once the initial criteria is met. So parallel wait branch is another wait step which we can use as an alternative wait condition, and in this we are going to set additional steps that can be performed once the initial criteria is met. So that can be performed when an initial criteria is met. So in this we can say that, for an example, as I keep saying, that if department equal to HR, send an email, wait till department equal to account, and another wait I will add, wait till status is equal to active. So this kind of parallel wait branch we can specify in this wait steps. The next workflow step is action steps. In action steps, we can create a record, which means we can create a record of the specified entity with the specified default values. So for example, we can create an employee record within an employee entity using create item in, or we can say create record in employee entity action. Then there is another action steps called update record, which updates the selected record with the specified or dynamic values. So for example, as we are creating create record in employee entity, similarly we can update record in employee entity by specifying the employee ID equal to 1. So this way we can specify the employee ID and we can set the employee salary as 10,000. So we can keep updating the record with the help of this update record action step. Then there is assign record, which assign the selected record to a user or a team. So basically, if a task needs to be done, we can assign that task to specific department or specific user with the help of assign record. So for example, if there is any approval task, so I will assign that task by specifying the assign this specific record by setting the approval task to the user, whoever will be available as a manager. Next is send email, which sends an email. So as I mentioned, if department equal to HR, we are going to send an email. So this way we can keep sending an email with the help of send email action. Then there is a perform action step which specifies the custom workflow step and actions. These custom steps have to be developed by a CRM developer. So this perform action steps are some custom workflow steps, and whoever will be a CRM developer is going to develop that. So what kind of steps are, like if you want some custom actions which are not available within this out-of-box action status, then you can specify that, like retrieving some value from a list which is not your current entity. So on that time you have to specify some custom workflow steps. So you can use perform action step for that. Then there is a change status, which changes the status of the selected record. So let's consider there is a step where you have to change the status based on the value available. So you can specify that, or you can clearly change that, like you can change the workflow status, whether it's completed or it's in progress, based on your condition. And the finally stop workflow, you can stop the current workflow. These are the workflow process comes under your CRM. So you have to use these workflow processes as per your need. Whenever you need a certain application to be configured for specific requirement, so on that time you have to develop a workflow, or we can say create a workflow and trigger it based on the messages, or we can say based on the events. And you have to decide the scope, you have to mention the steps within the workflow as well. So under your CRM Dynamics, you will find a processes under the settings. So basically, whenever you will go to your Microsoft Dynamics CRM settings, you will find an option called processes, which will be used to create a workflow processes. And there you have to specify the process name, you have to select the category as a workflow, and specify for which entity you have to create a workflow. So once you decide that, you have to specify the scope of the workflow, and you have to specify when it needs to be started, or we can say you have to specify the event for the workflow, and finally you have to add a step within a workflow. So this is a simple thing which you can do once you take a look at the processes section under your Microsoft Dynamics CRM setting. So there is a question arise when to use a workflow. Workflow mostly used for asynchronous purpose. Like if you want to send an email, you must go for a workflow. If you want to send an email every week or on daily basis, you have to go for a workflow. Also, workflows are prepared when you want to achieve a simple functionalities, right? Like assigning users or creating a record, deleting a record. So on that time, you can use workflows. Workflows are easily configured by business users, so it's easy to use. That's another advantage of workflow, and we can run the workflows on demand as per our needs. So this is something we have to consider for using a workflow. A real-time workflows have a request frequency which is higher than anything else. So it's better to use real-time workflows in some situation, whereas in terms of asynchronous need, like whenever you want it to be run in a background, you have to go for workflow option.